Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today I have a 800 plus wave in the arena capable shield throw build for you, coming straight from LizardIRL. Now, this is a perfect example of what you can do with a build when you spend months building it up and farming all of the perfect gear that you would need to make it almost as min-maxed as you can go. Now, while there will be several exalted pieces, these are pieces that eventually you will find or have found on other characters, and you can slap together on this, and they're not needed for the build to actually work. However, by min-maxing to this point, it allows you to push further and to do more damage than you would have done otherwise. Now, it's been a while since we've updated the shield throw build. LizardIRL put a build out over 3 months ago in the last patch for one. It wasn't as good as this. Obviously, he spent more time putting it together and making it even better than it was, farming for even better gear. Now, if you haven't already followed LizardIRL either on YouTube or on Twitch, his links will be below. Make sure to give him a sub on YouTube and a follow on Twitch and check him out while he's live. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills, the interactions, and just how this whole build works. Alright, for skills, I'm running Holy Aura, Shield Throw, Volatile Reversal, Lunge, and Sigils of Hope. For Holy Aura, we have this set up a little bit differently than before. So with such a high block chance build, you would think that you would build into getting the health back and gaining the ward whenever you have a block. This increases your survivability, or at least the replenishment of life, and giving you extra shield. However, changed up a little, we're going to go with the fire penetration since we are a 100% fire damage build. So for this, we have 1 point in 𝐒𝐲𝐬𝐷 Devotion, and then 2 points in 𝐒𝐲𝐬𝐷 Fury, giving you 10% fire penetration, 20% when Holy Aura is active. We then also have 3 points in Fanatism. Yes, this attack speed does increase your throwing speed. 2 points in Call to Arms, 2 points in Strength from Afar, 4 points in Expedite, 1 point in Demoralizing Aura, and 5 points in Shelter from the Storm for that elemental resist and additional endurance. Now, if you want to change some things around, you really don't need to have the 12% extra throwing speed, and you don't have to have the full elemental resist here in endurance if you got that on your gear instead. So you can take out up to 6 points, and then you can put those into gaining the health and ward whenever you have a block. That could help your survivability if you're having any sort of issue. But I remind you, you're going to have very high, up to 100% block. You're going to have up to 85% armor, and your resistances will be capped. So dying is very, very hard. And in some of the gameplay that you'll watch me play in this video, I don't even have the right blessing, so I'm not leeching any of the life or damage that I do with shield throw. And therefore, because of that, my health doesn't go back up. But you'll notice that even in empowered Orbis fights, the damage coming in is so little that you literally have plenty of time to just use a potion here and there. So definitely a very tanky build. You don't have to have it. For shield throw, we have this set up. There are 3 extra levels to it. It is an exalted chest with a tier 6 affix. However, you don't have to have that to make shield throw work. You can still go off the previous build planners that we've had where there are no extra levels, and it's still going to do really good damage. However, in this setup, we have 2 points in Heavy Shield, 1 point in Spiked Plates, 1 point in Rhaegar's Fury. So this says that your block chance gives you 100% more damage, or as much damage as you have block chance. In this build, it also says that you cannot block while shield throw is released. And since we have no cooldown and we can always cast it, it's always released. However, whether it's a bug or whether it was meant to happen, while this happens, you can still block while the shield throw is done, although it's said that that might change in 8.3. Got 5 points in Armoring Aegis, so that we gain 200 flat armor on every ricochet, which will be a lot of them. 5 points in Polished Steel, 1 point in Focus Campaign, and 1 point in Shield Barrage. Up to the left, we got 2 points in Ricochet, 1 point in Eruption, 1 point in Molten Shield, and 3 points in Molten Toss for that extra fire damage. Now, you're probably wondering why we put a point in Eruption when we're not built into any spell damage. Well, we needed to convert into Molten Shield, and that would have taken 2 points in Forgeborn instead of just the 1 in Eruption. However, if you get a tier 7 chest and you have that extra point, I definitely recommend swapping this 1 for 2 here. However, we wanted the points everywhere else, so we went with the cheapest route possible, which was going through Eruption. For Volatile Reversal, this is the kind of same way it's always set up. You get extra move speed, throwing speed, and then of course you can teleport out of danger if you happen to be in a spot that's about to be attacked, and go back in time a few seconds. So we've got 3 points in Time Sap, 3 points in Catching Up, 3 points in Warped Time, 1 point in Time Lost Vitality, 2 points in Traveler's Fatigue, 1 point in Time Lost Wisdom, 2 points in Ancient Reversal, 1 point in Incipient Void Rift, 1 point in Terminal Void Rift, 2 points in Food for Worms, and 1 point in Dark Expanse. Now, for the Time Rot chance, the nice thing is you do extra damage against Time Rotted enemies if you build into the Harbinger of Dust. However, we haven't built into that here, but feel free to switch some points around if you don't want the move speed. You know, usually when you're using Time Reversals against a boss, you're not running at that point. You can change some points and make that, enemy take increased damage when you have hit it with a Time Rift. For Lunge, we have this set up the usual way. This will be different in 8.3. It's not needed for the build. Obviously, you like to have a movement skill, but the damage and the critical strike chance, which is pretty nice for it, is not really needed for this build. So in 8.3, when Lunge changes, it's not going to kill the build. So you'll just have to respec into what will most likely be a synergetic fire version of Lunge. But here we have it set up the usual way with 3 points in Tactician, 4 points in Forge On, 1 point in Unstoppable, 1 point in Initiative, 5 points in Avenger's Charge, 3 points into the Fray, 2 points in Blood Rush, and 1 point in Double Strike. And then for Sigils of Hope, we have this set up for block chance and a lot of added fire damage. It also gives us some armor, which is nice, and increased damage. We got 5 points in Empowering Sigils, 3 points in Decree of Flame, 2 points in Iron Sigils, 5 points in Enduring Hope, 1 point in Tetragram, 1 point in Meditation, and 3 points in Sign of the Guardian. Now, if you also want to have it to where you don't have to always be casting it and you're going to be getting lots of kills, whether it be in the arena, which is where you're going to be getting a lot of mob density, you can definitely take 1 point out of the Empowering Sigils and put it into the Last Wish so that you don't have to focus too much on casting them 100% of the time. However, either way, it doesn't matter. Mana is not a problem in this build. For passives, in the Sentinel class, we got 31 points with 8 points in Juggernaut, 8 points in Fearless, 5 points in Gladiator, 5 points in Armor Clad, and 5 points in Blade Master. And that's because we are wearing a one-handed axe, which is going to give us extra attack and cast speed. Throwing speed is counted in that. We got 11 points in Void Knight with 10 points in Abyssal Endurance and 1 point in Void Corruption. For Forge Guard, we got 13 points with 8 points in Weapons Master and 5 points in Steel Aegis. And then for the Paladin, our Mastered class, we've got 8 points in Conviction, 8 points in Defiance, 5 points in Honor, 4 points in Valor, 8 points in Faith Armor, 2 points in Staunch Defender, 1 point in Shield Wall, 10 points in Holy Precision, this is where a lot of that critical strike chance comes from, and 12 points in Reverence of Duality. Now, you can also take some points out of the Forge Guard here. You can take points out of Weapons Master, which is going to reduce your throwing attack damage, and the Strength is also a 4% increased damage per point. But you can take those 8 points out, go back to the Forge Guard, and put them into Light of Rhea, which is going to give you a lot more fire damage, which is what we're building into anyways, and this will give you move speed. Since we aren't wearing silver rings, this can be nice so you still have a little bit more movement speed than normal. Alright, for items, idols, and blessings, first off, there's no uniques required for this build. You want crafted items, those are going to be the best for you. Now, for the idols, you want idols that are 1x3s that have a % chance to deal plus 20 fire damage with shield throw. That is base 20 fire damage that will be added, and when all 4 of these proc, it's a lot of extra damage. For the suffix on them, you can also get increased armor or armor shred. For the 2x2, we got block effectiveness. You can really throw anything that you want in this square. It can even be more life or more protections, resistances if you need them. And then we have 2 1x2s that have increased health and elemental resist to cover the elemental resist that we were missing. Feel free to do 2 more of these down here if you'd like. Now, for the items, like I said, a lot of these are exalted. They're powerful. They got the right affixes. This took him months to get together and put together and just farm with it over and over and over again to become the beast that it is. I'm going to hover over all of them. Basically everything that you would think would be exalted, whether it be a tier 6 health or tier 7 throwing fire damage. All of them are going to be super effective to make you super powerful. Now, as I hover over them, I will say that this build planner will be both in the description below as well as in the written guide on the LE forums, so it'll be there for you to access and be able to play around with it as much as you'd like. For blessings, you can see the empty blessings are ones that you don't have to worry about. Those are ones that you can literally get anything. It's mostly gear slots or increased chance to find whatever or XP gain. Now, the most important one is that from Rhea, which you will want to farm over and over again, whether it be empowered or not empowered, you need percentage of throwing damage leech as health. This is the only leech that you have. You have to have this blessing or the replenishment of your life is going to be horrible. Until you get this blessing, I highly recommend that you have Holy Aura set up to heal you and give you ward on every block that you do. Until then, once you get this blessing, then you can remove that out of Holy Aura. The other blessing we got is increased health regen. We've got all resist. We have block effectiveness, which is huge for the build, and then of course the chance to shred fire resistance on hit. This is going to be a big damage boost for it as well. So really good blessings. You'll have to do some farming to get those. They really pull the build together at the end. But again, most importantly, Wrath of Rhea. Go to Rhea, level 65 timeline, and make sure you farm it until you get throwing damage leached as health, because it's pretty much mandatory for this build. Alright, travelers, for the character sheet, you can see that our resistances are pretty much capped. We've got the elemental. Our physical, necrotic, and void are a little low. On this character, I do not have the all resistance blessing, so as soon as you get that, it'll have them covered. You'll be maxed on everything that you need. Next patch, when poison becomes more important, you might have to change the shields so that you get the poison resist on a shield, but we'll have to see how that plays out. For armor, you can see that without doing anything, we're sitting at about 49%. And then we have 76% block chance. Now sigils will increase that, so when we use our 4 sigils and have them active, you'll notice we jump up to 59% armor and we have 88% chance to block. When we lunge, we also get 100% more armor, and then remember, we're also getting 200 flat armor added every time we use shield throw. So I'll open up the character sheet when we start attacking the training dummy so that you can see how the stats change. For our damage types, we have almost 300% critical strike multiplier, and although it's very hard to see here, we are going to base it off of the spell critical strike chance because we don't have throwing critical strike chance. You can see with spells we have a 40% chance to do a critical strike. However, it's much higher because on our chest we have increased percentage of critical strike chance with throwing attacks and with shield throw, which is almost 300% more. So we're actually much closer to about 70 or 80% crit chance with shield throw itself. And if you move any points around inside of the skill tree for it and put into 1 or 2 points into the base crit chance for it, you can get to 100% crit chance with shield throw, which is a little ridiculous, but it does take some GG gear to get it done. And then for defense, you can see we are almost capped on endurance, 1% shy. You can get a better roll on gear. And then critical strike avoidance, again, just a little shy with this build, but on gear, you can definitely bump that up. And then we have about 3,200 life. And again, if you put on better idols, 1x2s for that increase and flat health, you can definitely get up to, I believe Lizard has like 35 or 3,600 on his character if you fully spec into it and get some good exalted rolls with that health. Alright, and then as we go over here, I will show you just really quickly, if we lunge, you can see our armor jumps up to 56%. If we have our sigils active at the same time, we're at 66%. And then as we start to throw the shield throw, you can see we're critting for 40 to 50k damage. Now remember that you're getting armor based on ricochets, and we're not doing any ricochets right now, so we're not really getting much added armor other than the first hit. So remember that when you're in battle and you have multiple enemies and you're ricocheting between all of them, your armor is going to go even higher. But here against the training dummy, we're capable of getting 80%. It's not quite 100% uptime on it, but we are getting about 80%. And in battle, you'll have 85% almost at all times, as long as there's 2 or more enemies for you to be hitting. And then also remember that when you take hits, which 88% of the time you'll block it, you will have 50% even more damage reduction on those hits. So it's just a crazy amount of damage reduction, a super tanky build, and that's why it can push to 800 waves plus in the arena. Alright, Then for the skill rotation and how I play the build, I like to put Holy Aura and Lunge on autocast unless I'm in a boss fight. Then I don't like to have Lunge on autocast. I want to control it a bit more. You can manually cast the Sigils, and then as you attack, you can just sit here, do lots of damage, use Reversal to stay in and out of damage. You can see some of our crits are even almost up to 100k damage when we have all 4 of those idols proccing to give us that base flat fire damage. Absolutely crazy the amount of damage that you can do with it. And then every time you reversal, the throw speed, just ridiculous. Overall, very high damage, very tanky build, and it's going to go really far for you guys. Don't know exactly what changes will come to it, if any. I have a feeling it's still going to be super powerful in patch 8.3. But that's going to be it for this build guide. Remember to give Lizard a sub on YouTube, a like or a follow on Twitch, and make sure that you give him thanks for the build. This is his version of it. It is his build planner, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, stay safe and enjoy some gameplay.